You get out there in the middle.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
I want to give that to you.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Hand. You don't have to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Where did you get it?
I had it for a long time.
Did you really?
Yeah, my kids went to school here.
Oh, Mr. Hand, thank you so much. You shouldn't have done that, but thank you. I will have it for a long time.
Okay, you
Okay, thank you.
can put it in that.
Okay, no, I'll put it right here.
That's yours now. Put it on your car.
Okay, thank you, I will. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Mr. Hand, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. That's okay.
Well, let me go back to my childhood, okay? I was born and raised here in Curwensville. Up on Ridge Avenue, on the road going up to the nursing home, right there in the corner. I mean, no, I was born in a house right there, 1925. So I'm a Curwensville boy. I was raised here. I went to 5 grades in school on South Side at the old school building over there. I started out at 6, I was 6 years old, and I went to first grade to Mrs. Kelly, that was a teacher at that time. Then it was Mrs. Vaughn, Mrs. Bernetti, and Kenneth Bloom. You might be related to some of them, I don't know. So that's my part there. I went to all 5 grades in Curwensville. So I'm a Curwensville boy. I was born here. And I know all about this. Right here, this used to be a big field. Right down there where the tannery is, there was 3 houses, 2 single houses and a double house. I lived in a double house down there right at the foot of the hill. So I know all about it. There's Irving Park over there. I know all about that. So I'm a Curwensville boy. I lived here. I know a lot of people. I have relatives, I'm sure, way back that belong to mine, you know. Some of my might know now, but then. But that's where I was. I moved to Clearfield, and I went to school down there when I was 12 years old. And after I went to school down there, World War II started. And after when World War II started, I was 16. And next year, I was 17. I joined the Navy. Went to Du Bois. And you probably already heard about my history of the war, you know. So I don't know what I could add to that, except I put 4 years on an aircraft carrier. I lived there, day in and day out. I wanted the other class. I wanted to show them my record of my ship. Now you can't see all this, but every time a plane landed, they marked it down because of history. Okay. It talks about how many places I've been. How many miles? You know how many miles I traveled on the ocean? 170,000 miles on a ship. That's all recorded here. They kept it. I don't know who else could tell you about my war years. There's the only picture of me right there. That's me there. I was a firefighter. I fought the fires on the ship, and we had a lot of them. So that was one. Now look, on board ship, you have the ship's crew on an aircraft carrier, then you have the air division, separated from each one. But every one of us are this way. The cook down here is just as much valuable as that man up there with that gun. Because if he didn't get food enough, how's he going to shoot that gun? So everybody works in unity. It's like assembly line. When the assembly line comes down, you pull this guy out, and then the assembly line has to stop because you can't have nobody else there. So every time we had to do things, we had to do it together. So everybody on that, I don't care whether the cook or what he did, he was just as much valuable as that guy up there shooting the aircraft. You don't mind if I sit down, do you? In my age, you take advantage of this quite often.
It's okay.
So, if there's anything you'd like to know that I didn't tell you before, I'd be more than willing to ask you. Now look, class, you know I saw a lot of misery. A lot. I won't tell you that. I'll only tell you my side of the story. Now, as I tell my side of the story, all veterans, I don't care who they are, they have their own story to tell. They'll make it into the Army, Marines, whatever. So this is my story as a sailor in World War II. So if you have a question, I know you won't ask a foolish question because you young people, you're smart. And I'll tell you one thing, class, listen. You might think as a human being that you're dumb, but you're not. I told the class, I told before, you young people are going to run this country after we're gone. You're going to run it. And I hope you, like I said before, I hope you do a better job than what we're doing right now. But that's your responsibility, whether you realize it or not. I never realized I was going to put 4 years in a war. A 17-year-old kid? Can you imagine? I think I got. Wait till I tell you.
You dig through your stuff. So folks, what's going to happen is, because a lot of you have heard Mr. Hand's story, so we really wanted this to be a more informal time when you can really ask him some questions about the things that he experienced, or maybe how things were when he came home, you know, whatever you want to talk about. That's what we're going to do now.
Let me show you. There's me, 17 years old. You think you have a uniform like that? I never thought I'd be Uncle Sam's uniform. 17 years old, all the bigger I was, I just passed. But that's my boot camp picture. Great Lakes, Illinois. I spent 8 weeks. I look at that and I say, that can't be me, but it is. We do change, don't we? So if you have a question, I'll be willing to answer. Now wait, there's one other thing I want to show you here, if you don't mind. Because I've got so much material. And you can, if you go in I'm gonna
pass these out. If anybody was here last period and got one, I'll take one.
I didn't show this to the last class. I wish I would have. My ship received 2 presidential citations from the President of the United States. The last citation was given to each of us guys on board ship. Here it is. This is a presentation. Let me read it, all right? This is proof. It's not similar. Listen. James Elliott Hand, that's me, to you who answered the call of your country and served it in the armed forces to bring about the total defeat of the enemy, I extend the heartfelt thanks of a grateful nation as one of the nation's finest. You undertook the most severe task one can be called upon to perform, and it was. because you demonstrated the fortitude, resourcefulness, and calm judgment necessary to carry out the task. We now look to you for leadership and example to further exalting our country in peace. Harry S. Truman, right down here at the bottom, that's from the White House. This is authentic. That's his citation to my ship. We had 2 citations. So you see, during World War II, my ship was valuable. And I'm not boasting now. I'm saying there's other ships too, out in that ocean, just like us, but we're all together. So if you have a question, I'll try to answer
And what's gonna happen
the best
is
that I know how.
you can say your question, then I'll repeat it to Mr. Hand.
Huh?
So, I'll tell you their questions, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I know Emily has a question. Go ahead, Emily.
When you were done serving in the military, was it hard to transition to like everyday life?
When you came back, was it from the war? Was it hard to transition into everyday life? What was that like for you?
Okay. Okay, class, let me tell you something. It's only been the recent years in America that we honored our veterans, right? Right. When I come back from the war, nobody asked me nothing. I don't know whether they was being nice to me or anything. I don't know. But nobody asked me nothing. My parents, nobody. I went in after I come out of the Navy. I got a job working in the clay mines in a brickyard. I fitted in like everybody else, you know. Went on. After a while, I got married, raised a family. Once in a while, they'd have a parade, but nobody recognized the veteran. I don't know why. I have no position, but I know one thing happened now. In recent your grandfathers, your uncles, dads, all veterans. Now they recognize what they had. Let me say one thing. Germany and Japan, they got together. Japan says, we're going to take the United States. This is all documented in history. We'll take the West Coast. That's California, Japan. And Germany, you will have the East Coast. If Germany would defeat Great Britain, what stands between Great Britain and the United States? You and I may not be here today. If that would have happened. But it didn't. Thank the Lord it didn't. It could have happened because they had them rockets, and everything. Look what they're doing to Britain. They almost obliterated Britain. They had rockets, everything. Germany. They could have hit the United States. Do you think they wouldn't have sent a rocket over the United States? They sure would have. So you see how fortunate we are to have what we have today. Thank you. Did that answer that question?
Yes, I think that was very good. Just to follow up on that, we know that a lot of veterans today come back, and I know that it happened during World War I and World War II. I know of people from World War II that came home and had to live in their basement the rest of their life, or had to live in a shed behind the house because they were so upset about what they experienced. Why do you think that you never, because you've told me before that you didn't really struggle when you came back, why do you think that you were able to just come back and to be okay?
Class, listen. I've seen a lot of death, a lot, but I could not let it happen here. You gotta pass it on. I can visual right now, right at this very moment, on my ship, and what I saw. But I know the best thing I can say to these veterans, get involved in something. Let it go. If somebody wants to talk about what you've been veteran, talk about it, but don't talk about the horrors of it. Because if you do, it'll affect your mind. One guy asked me one time, he said, do you have any nightmares? And I thank the Lord I don't. Because after 4 years of seeing the war, I thank the Lord it didn't affect me here. So far. And my heart goes out to these veterans. It truly does. They see a lot, they see the same. I don't care whether you're on the ship, whether you're on the land, it's still war. You're trying to kill your enemy. Don't make any difference. No one is more valuable than the other. Because we all did it. That's why America came together during World War II. And we did. Ask your grandparents the sacrifice some of them had to make.
Will you, if anybody here has a relative, an ancestor that was in the military, would you raise your hand, please? You have? Okay, thank you. So there's a lot of people in here who have had relatives who've also served.
Yes.
So, and that's one thing that Mr. Hand always, obviously, he comes here and talks to you because I ask him to. He is certainly not, trying to, brag or anything like that. That's not him at all. So, okay, how about another question? Go ahead.
This is more of like a topic.
Okay.
But like last year, he had shrapnel bits.
Yes, he has one here. Could you take out your piece of shrapnel and tell the kids how you got that piece of shrapnel?
Well, after the Japanese airplane come in the flight deck, down to the flight deck, it exploded in the hangar deck. That piece of shrapnel that I had was stuck in a bulkhead. That's the wall there. And that's where we had to start cleaning up. I seen this sticking out, and I knew it wasn't of our ship, because different color, So I dug it out, I looked it all over, and I come to the conclusion that's the part of the bomb that he dropped in the hangar deck, exploded. That's shrapnel. And that's what it is. Because you can see in that shrapnel how they microwave killed. Machined it. At that time, we didn't have any bombs of our own on the hangar deck to blow up. So that's where they got that.
Is it okay if
Oh,
we
yeah.
pass that around?
Sure.
Is it? I think you might still have it in your bag.
Didn't they see it?
Last period did.
Oh.
Thank you.
That's a Japanese bomb now, not American.
So when you hear about someone being killed, from a bomb, a lot of times it's shrapnel. It's the pieces that's what hurts people. Good question, thanks. Okay, somebody else. Another question. This is a perfect opportunity, and so, Mr. Hand, I've told the last class, so I'm going to tell it again, that Mr. Hand is 94 years old. And like I said, he drove himself here this morning. He beat me to school, honestly. Drove himself here. He still has a farm. He still does all of his own mowing, and I was there not too long ago, and you'd just done a lot of painting. So he still, does his work, and he lives by himself, takes care of himself.
I don't know how long it's going to be, but I take one day at a time. Thank the Lord I got that.
Okay, anybody else? How about one more question?
Anything you want to know, Because after all, you know, that happened 75 years ago. So that's a long time ago. But yet, sometimes people have questions, you know. They'd like to know if they like history, you know, especially World War II.
Okay, we have a question. So you were 17 when you went to basic
Yeah.
training. How was basic training for you?
Oh, it was rough.
Was it rough? Would you
Oh,
just tell
yeah.
them a little bit about basic training?
Yeah. Well, one day we were standing like this, and you got to go like this, you know. See my thumbs? Huh? I was standing like that with thumbs out. You don't do that, you had. That cheap PO, he said, hand! Put your hand down! Get that thumb in there! Like this, you see. When you stand up, you do, you know. But I have it like this. I had a lot of experiences. But they treated us good. They treated us good. As best they knew how. That's all I can thank them for.
And you were 17.
17.
So how would you say that being 17, how were you able to survive basic training and then to survive combat? 85 straight days you were in combat.
Oh, well, that was one island, yeah.
How do you, at such a young age, how did you do that?
You have to bear in mind that there's an enemy. If you don't get him, he's going to get you. So that's the attitude you have to take. You have to do the job you're asked to do, by trained to do. Now, let me give you a question. How many of you guys play football? Okay? Anybody here quarterback?
No.
No quarterback? Okay, now here we have a football team, okay? Here you have a quarterback and you have 10 other guys, right? Here's a guy sitting up in the bleacher. He's looking down the field. He's seen the game. He's seen that quarterback go back, throw the football. John was open over there. Why didn't he throw it to him? But that's what they call Monday morning quarterbacks. Now, those 4 guys down there have to protect that quarterback. He might be the best, he might are, but he has to have protection to do his job. If he doesn't have protection, I don't care how good he is, he can't do his job. So, and that's what it was in the war. Everybody of us worked together.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sorry, Miss Coach.
Oh, no, you're fine. Go right ahead.
If you could ask him, what was the general feeling amongst the men whenever they did drop the 2
Oh.
nuclear weapons on Japan?
Okay, so you were there on the ship, right off of the coast of Japan. What did you guys think when you heard about them dropping the atomic bombs?
Oh, that was jubilant. I mean, we was glad. Now, I had the privilege of going to Pearl Harbor, in the harbor, and going on the shore. I saw on the corner now, this is the street here, okay? And the street goes this way. Right here, there's a moat, water. That's where the hero Hitler was, the emperor. That's where he lived over there. Right in this corner is where MacArthur had his headquarters doing after the war, you know. I never saw him, but my ship was in the harbor over here, and we went ashore. I wouldn't give you 2 cents for Japan from that. Messed up. And we bombed it.
Okay, so you said you were jubilant.
Yes.
Did you believe that would mean the war was going to be over and you could go home?
Yeah, I know. I was going home then. I was done. They wanted me to stay in. I said, nope, I'm going home. I signed it for 4 years, see. I was regular Navy, not reserve. So I was for 4 years. So I had to serve my time. Then I went home. and try to fit in with everybody else. Try. And today, class, when you see the American flag, remember, every war America fought, you always see a flag bearer, the American flag, somewhere. Remember the flag, and people spit on it, they burn it, but yet they're reaping what we had fought for, right? That flag, that's not to worship, it's a symbol to respect the American flag. I see. And that's why on our ship, that thing's always.
Would you show them your banner that you have that flew on your ship?
That's a this is here. Can I show it to them?
Okay, thank you. They're just gonna get some snacks going here for people too. But everyone's gonna listen. I promise.
Huh?
Everyone's gonna listen if you want to show them your banner.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what this is? That is called a pennant. What's a pennant? This here flies above the American flag and shows what kind of a ship it is. This is a warship. United States Navy. That flies above. If you ever see a ship and you get close enough, you ever see that thing flying out there? That's what this is. Now this is for the war. They have different pennants for different ships, you know? But it's all the same thing. I went through atomic bombs, not atomic bombs, suicide bombers and everything. That flew up there.
How many kamikazes hit your ship?
Two kamikazes. I was hit by a torpedo. Let me tell you about that. Did I ever tell you about it? We was at general quarters, and that's all recorded here. Towards evening, we was there sailing. It come over the loudspeaker. There were two Japanese planes out there. We, as a battle chair, as a carrier, we were not allowed to fire at night because they give us away. So, out of the outskirts, one of our destroyers destroyed that airplane, one of them. The other airplane turned around and headed toward the Swanee. It had a torpedo. And then, guy, I have it all recorded there in the history. On the loud, come over the loudspeaker, it said, "Stand by for torpedo." This Jap plane dropped the torpedo right by our ship. But when it hit, it didn't explode because it had to go far enough to rearm. It was too close. Thank the Lord. If, or that torpedo hit, right in the middle of the ship, right here, is where all the gasoline was stored for the airplane. That's it, Lord. That would have been it. But it didn't happen. I could tell you a lot of other stories. But that's just one of them.
Does anybody else? While we're having some snacks passed out and by people, and we appreciate it very much. Does anybody else have any other questions? We have a little bit of time left. Does anybody else have another question for Mr. Hand? I have it. I have it right here. Okay. 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 So Mr. Hand crossed. God bless you. Mr. Hand crossed the equator.
That's boot camp.
Go ahead.
That's boot camp. I'm in there. That's boot camp. That's what you look like when you're in training. I thought maybe you'd like that. Thank you.
Okay, so we had a question. So I'm looking on your paper. It says that you crossed the equator 54 times.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And you crossed the international date line 12 times.
Right,
You lost 6 days of your life,
right.
but you took it back later.
Yeah, right. Oh boy, how'd that happen? You have, after you get in battle, and you're done with the battle, you have a focal point, and you cross there. It happened to be the equator, or international date line, was our focal point. We pull away at nighttime, so then we go back in the morning, just back and forth.
So that they couldn't shoot you. So
Right.
they couldn't get you. Okay. All right, good question. Anybody else? Yes.
Was it long afterwards to get a job and stuff?
When you came home from the war, how long did it take you to get a job?
Oh, let's see. I come home in June. I think I had a job next month. The brickyard was starting back up,
Was it the Curwensville Brickyard?
No,
Or was it
Clearfield.
Clearfield Brickyard? Okay.
Yeah, right there at the red light and going into Cleveland.
Would that have been Harbison and Walker then?
No.
Okay.
Riverview Brickyard.
Riverview. Okay. So,
I worked in a clay mine.
In the
I
clay
never
mine?
worked in a clay mine in my life.
okay.
I'd learn.
Don't ever do that again, Caleb, in my presence. Thank you. Okay, any last questions? Okay, so here's what we're going to do because so sorry. Go ahead, I'm so sorry, Legend. Apologize.
Very important question again. What is his favorite cheese?
I'm not sure I'm going to go there. How about this? When you came home from the service, were you still living with your parents?
No, I lived with my sister there.
Oh, you live with your sister. Okay. So when you came home, what was the first American food, like homemade food, you wanted to eat?
I don't know. Anything they had, I just ate it, guys. I really didn't have a choice,
Okay.
Because during this war, they really fed as good as they could do it,
Okay. So you got enough to eat on the
Oh,
ship?
yes.
Okay. And the food was good on the ship?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Good.
They tried to do the best they could,
Yes.
under the circumstances.
Yes. Did you ever work at the cheese plant here in Curwensville? Okay.
I worked the brickyard. I worked at the clay works, sewer pipe. Did you ever hear the sewer pipe out in the East End? I worked at iron workers. These were jobs, but every time we get a job, it was shut down, The last place I worked was North American Brickyard here in Curwensville.
Okay.
And that's where I retired from, 20 years.
You worked there 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my address is James E. Hand, 1818 McFadden Road, Curwensville, Pennsylvania. So I'm Curwensville.
Absolutely.
Can't get out of that.
There you go.
Even though I live in Hibernia.
Well, I always say there's two kinds of people in the world, people who live in Hibernia and people who want to live in Hibernia. That's my personal belief. I'm going to try. Okay, so somebody wants to know today, what's your favorite meal to eat today?
Well, actually, when you live by yourself, my wife passed away 13 years ago. I just eat what I want to eat. If I want a spaghetti, I get spaghetti. If I want a ham sandwich, I just have to do my own cooking and what I want to eat. When I get hungry for something, I'll eat.
Okay.
I have no special food because a lot of good food out there, you can't put your finger on any one.
Okay. Okay, for local history people, you may have, in one of the books, we saw the picture of Samuel McKendrick, who was a blacksmith here in Curwensville. So anybody who's been in this class before knows where I'm going to go with this story, because this is one of my favorite stories that Mr. Hand tells. So when Mr. Hand lived in Curwensville as a kid, There was a man who lived in Curwensville named Samuel McKendrick, and you used to go and hang out at the blacksmith shop. And one day he told you to do, you and your buddies, you were 6 or 7 years old, and what did he tell you to do?
Sit down, I'm going to tell you. He would shake our hand. He says, you shook the hand of Abraham Lincoln. We didn't know who Abraham Lincoln was, you know. But he told us later on, he said him and his brother was there at Gettysburg when Abraham Lincoln had the Gettysburg Address, and he had the privilege of shaking Abraham Lincoln's hand. So that's why he would shake our hand. We didn't know until years later I realized what it's all about. Can you imagine that?
Absolutely.
That sounds like it's far-fetched, but no, it's the truth.
There you go.
I wouldn't lie one
And we
iota.
have it actually in the Curwensville, the green Curwensville book. It tells the story about the McKendricks
Yeah.
going down and
Somebody might be related to McKendrick.
yes, there might be some McKendricks in here. Anyone related to McKendricks?
Any
Okay.
relation to McKendricks?
So we have about 4 minutes left, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If you choose to, if you want to come up, I mean, obviously I do it as much as I possibly can, but if you would like to shake Mr. Hand's hand, tell him thank you for his service before everybody has to leave when the bell rings, if you would care to do that, or if you want to get a picture taken with Mr. Hand, this is a legal picture taking opportunity today. So if you want to come up, if you want to shake the hand of the man who shook hands with a man who shook Abraham Lincoln's hand.
It's kind of long down the road.
Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. But if you want to come up and do that, I would welcome you to please come up and tell him thank you. Thank you for his service, okay? Okay, thanks, folks. Thanks also to Morgan, who brought in the cupcakes. Let's hear from Morgan. Caleb, seriously. Okay, somebody come on up and let's get started. Thanks, Taylor, for helping out. So some people would like to shake your hand.
Hi, Shirley.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service.
Thanks for telling us this.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Oh, yes, please. I will take it for you. You guys thank you for your announcement.
Thank you. Thank you.
Will you take a picture? And you did a good job today. You behaved. You weren't being bad, so you did good. Listen, will you take a picture with us?
Sure.
Anybody else?
You know,
Come up, get a picture
last
taken.
week we had, that's on Facebook. You can pick it up.
There was a picture of us on there. Did you see
Yeah.
it during the assembly? I didn't know we had a picture.
Yeah, it's on
Yeah,
Facebook.
we're famous now. Oh yeah.
I do it for all there.
Oh yeah, well good.
Thank you.
Secret. You do whatever you need to do.
Did you?
You know, do
My
your-
father was on an aircraft carrier. He was on the, he was in the Korean War. He was on the U.S.